Today we are talking about, or I'm going to show you, I guess. Today I'm going to show you, there we go, how to make my Mickey Mouse waffle pot holder. This is a pattern that I created last year and I posted it on Reddit, and I never actually posted the actual pattern. I just posted a picture, and people have been waiting a really long time for this. So to those that have been waiting, thank you for being patient, and I hope you enjoy it. I actually tried to record this yesterday and it didn't go very well. Ooh, I fell. It's crooked. I'm a little tipsy-turvy. I got hair everywhere. Yeah, there were some issues. It was a mess. So I just went ahead and decided to start new today. Did different camera angles and all kinds of stuff. I still have the squeaky chair, so please ignore that. I apologize, and ignore the fingers because I've been doing all kinds of projects, and on top of that I chew on my nails anyway, so they look like a right mess, and that's just how it's gonna be. But you are not here to hear about my fingers. Not your fingers. You're here to hear about Mickey pot holder. Mickey Mouse waffle pot holder. It looks tricky, but it's really easy. It's a little tedious at one point, and you'll quickly know what part I'm talking about. But it is actually rather simple. But the cool thing is no one will know. Just don't show them this video, which sort of sucks because I need people to watch the video, but yeah, well, it'll be our little secret. For this, for almost any pot holder that you're doing crochet, I always suggest to use cotton, knot, or something that's a natural fiber, nothing synthetic. A lot of the synthetic type yarns have a type of plastic in them and they melt very easy, and if you're going to be using this actually as a pot holder, the last thing you want to do is to have something melt either to your pan or to your hand, or your hand to your pan. Yeah, not good. For this particular one, I went ahead, ooh, hello. I just dropped it. And used, ooh, I can't really see it. There it is, bonk. I love this cotton. It's a Hobby Lobby brand. I do like this cotton a lot. I definitely love the cotton more than their I love this yarn brand. Don't like that at all. Sorry, Hobby Lobby. Yuck. I love this cotton. It's pretty good. I don't really like to use it for kitchen projects though. It's really super soft and would make makes great like clothing type of items, but for kitchen ones I tend to like a more sturdier cotton yarn. Like Lily. It's like the texture is just sort of rougher a little bit, and it can hold up to a little bit more. But I'm trying to be responsible and not go to the store right now. And the only yellow yarn I had was the I love this cotton from Hobby Lobby at the moment. And I wanted to make the pattern because people have waiting almost a year now, plus possibly, for this. So that's where I'm at. But any cotton, really, as long as it's cotton, 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 cotton. For this particular pattern, I am using a can you see it? Crochet hook. It is a Clover brand crochet hook. I like Clovers of the crochet hooks. There's a couple different styles. I don't remember which one this is called, but I have a couple different ones. I have the like flatter looking one and the pretty colored looking ones. I like both equally. But some people are very particular about their crochet hooks. The only ones I don't like, they aren't even a Clover brand. Those pretty colory ones. I got them when I first started crocheting. I'm like, oh, I want the pretty ones, because, you know, pretty ones. And they are pretty, but my hands, I can only use them for like 10 minutes, and my hands start hurting really bad. So now they are hooks for my hair. Hair up and go whoop. I don't like the knockoff brands though of these, now that I think about it. There's ones that look like these. I don't know. I know Hobby Lobby actually sells one. I don't like those at all. They're not as squishy here, and those make my hands hurt. So something about this one though works really well. There are a lot of really expensive crochet hooks out there. Like really expensive. I haven't tried any of those, so I don't know how life-changing they are, but I have. Personally, I don't know, it's hard for me to spend a couple $100s on a crochet hook, even though I use it all the time, so it probably shouldn't be that big of a deal to me. But yeah, someone prove me wrong. Tell me what crochet hooks you use. Anywho, let's get started. So, pot holder. The very first thing we need to do when making the pot holder is make the base. And you have two options for this. Well, technically you have three. We're going to need to make 3 circles. The head, Mickey's head, and then Mickey's ears. And on this one, as you can see, actually I'll put it on here. This one you can see I I doubled my yarn. I used 2 pieces of yarn at once, and it made it really, really thick. Really, really thick, see? Which is great for a pot holder. If you do that, then you're going to need to make 1 Mickey base and 2 Mickey ears. So if you're going to crochet using 2 pieces of yarn at once, if you're curious on how that works, I will show you how to do that because we have to use 2 pieces of yarn to make these little ridges later. But yeah, so if you're going to use 2 pieces of yarn, then you need to make 1 Mickey head and 2 Mickey ears. Your other option is to do the base, all the pieces twice, and then at the very end sew them together. This also makes a very thick piece of fabric. If you're going to do that, then what you need is 2 Mickey heads and 4 Mickey ears. Keep that in mind. Either way is fine. There's just a couple little differences on how you want to do it. It takes about the same amount of yarn, but it does take a little more time to make the 2 Mickey heads and 4 Mickey ears as opposed to making just 1 Mickey head and 2 Mickey ears. So that's up to you. For our demonstration, this one is already done with using the 2 pieces of yarn at once, doubling the yarn. So the one I'm going to be doing is the version where I'm making the 2 Mickey heads and 4 Mickey earballs and then sew them together so you can see what the look difference is, and you can decide from there. Okay? To get started, we're going to go ahead and start on our Mickey head. And really what we're doing is just making a disc. And the process to make the Mickey head is the same as the Mickey ears. So once you learn how to make the Mickey head, then you can easily make the Mickey ears. Make sure I'm in focus here. Taking pictures. Hold a second. Already off to a seller's start. My GoPro here I had on time-lapse mode during that whole thing. Good thing that I checked, because yowzers. You wouldn't think it's really an easy pattern, I promise. I don't know why I'm having so many issues with it. Hopefully I am in focus because I'm not recording this again. No. Alright, to make the Mickey base, we are going to need to make a magic circle. And magic circles are quite magical as long as you know how to use them. A lot of people are really scared of the magic circle, and I think the reason they're scared is because people make them out to be something they really aren't. They're really super easy, and all they are is a slip knot. Once you realize that's all it is, then it's not a big deal. Don't be afraid of it. And if you're watching someone like give a tutorial on how to do a magic circle and your hand ends up in knots, look at someone else's tutorial, because everyone describes how to do the magic circle in about 1,000 ways from Sunday. And I think people just try to purposely make it more complicated than it really needs to be. This is how I approach it. Okay, what I do is I take my yarn, and if it shakes a little bit, I'm sorry. I move a lot if you haven't told, and anytime everything's attached to my desk, which I'm bonking into right now, bonk, 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 so. Sorry. Anyways, so you match a circle. You're gonna take your piece of yarn, and you're just going to twist it away from you. You know you twisted the correct direction because the little piece of yarn, like the tail part, will be closer to you, like boop, boop, boop. And the piece of yarn that's attached to your yarn ball will be farther away from you. That is the most complicated part of the magic circle. So with the tail close to you and the long tail farther away, go ahead and take your crochet hook, insert your crochet hook into the loop, grab your yarn, pull through the loop, and pull up. From here, go ahead and grab your piece of yarn and pull through that little loop that is on your hook. Oop. I swear it's easy, I'm making it hard. Okay. Once you did, that's your magic, you're done. That's your magic circle, all done. You can test to see if it worked by pulling on the tail. If that loop gets smaller, and then if you can pull on the loop to make it bigger, then you did it right. See? Easy. No wrapping around the fingers, none of that stuff. No. So there, I'll get it. Why do we make things hard? I don't understand. All right. Let me do that again real quick, because now that I said that, I just want to make sure everyone understands. Take your piece of yarn and twist it away from you. Your little tail will be closer to you. The big tail will be farther away. While pinching your yarn right where the two tails meet, take your crochet hook, put it in the loop, grab your yarn, pull it through. Once you pull it through, go ahead and grab your yarn again and pull through that little loop that was on your hook. And you've now made your magic circle. Yay! All right. Da-da-da. Okay. Now, to make Mickey's head, we need to make some double crochets. And I like to try to get away with doing 10s when I do circles, because you can count them easy in the other rows. And that's what we're going to be doing today. Before we start our first double crochet, we're going to need to bring our stitch up to about the same height as the double crochet will be once we already make it. And to do that, all you need to do is, because we chained one initially when we locked in our magic circle, we're just going to chain one more time. And to chain, all you need to do is take your crochet hook, grab your piece of yarn, and pull through the loop that was on the hook, and you've done it. There's your chain. So though we just did one chain, we did a chain previously when we locked in our magic circle, so we have 2 chains. 1, 2, 2 chains. Now that we have our stitches high enough, we're going to go ahead and do our first double crochet. To do double crochet, and by the way, this is in US terms, because we like to do everything different, and I apologize to the rest of the planet, but that's how I learned, so that's how I'm going to be speaking with, is US terms. All right. To do a double crochet, go ahead and sort of wrap that yarn around your hook just once, and bring your hook down into the loop from your magic circle. Popping the hook back out the other side, go ahead and grab the yarn again and pull through, or back on through, so that you end up with 3 loops on your hook. And it's a little tricky the first couple you do because your magic circle doesn't have any like oomph to it. So you might have to like hold it really close. If your yarn falls off, which mine did actually doing this tutorial 3 times, as I'm saying, it's super easy to do. This is how it goes. No big deal, just keep going. All right, so now that you have 3 loops on your hook, 1, 2, 3, go ahead and grab that yarn again, pull through the first 2, and so now you have 2 loops on your hook. Grab your yarn again and pull through the second 2. And you've completed your double crochet then. Let's do that again. Okay, so you're going to grab your yarn. You're going to bring your hook into the magic circle. You're going to bring it out the other side. You're going to grab your yarn again, and you're going to pull on up, and now you have 3 loops on your hook. 1, 2, 3. Once you have 3 loops on your hook, go ahead and, whoo, I put lotion on my hands, and now they're really slippery. It's hard to hold things. Okay, so I'm going to grab the yarn, pull through the first 2 loops. Now you have 2 loops on your hook. Grab your yarn again and pull through the remaining 2 loops. There you go. Now we're going to continue around and do 8 more for a total of 10 double crochets. If you lost track, go ahead and count back on your double crochets. If you're also, as you're stitching, if you're running out of room, like it looks something sort of similar to like that, go ahead and tug on that tail a little bit to allow you to finish your double crochets. But once you have 10, go ahead and tug on that tail until the loop actually closes. Don't pull it too tight yet because it'll be really hard to close off your circle here. Once you gently tug your yarn and you close that little gap, we're going to go ahead and close off this row. To do that, we're going to take our crochet hook and we're going to insert it into that very first double crochet that we made. You know you're entering it into the right spot because you will be taking your crochet hook and putting it through those 2 loops. So there's going to be 2 loops on the top, boom, boom, right? And there'll actually be 1 loop underneath. Do not put it on the chain that we created. This is the chain, and then that's actually where that first stitch starts. I don't know if you can see that or not. So go ahead and put that in the first stitch. So you're going to insert your hook in. Go ahead and grab the yarn and pull through. So now you have 2 loops on your hook, and then keep going actually, and take that same piece of yarn that you pulled through that stitch and pull through that first loop that was already on your hook. That's called a slip stitch, and that closes off our row. So here's your first row. Now, I started with 10. You can start with any number, base number. I find 10s are easy because then you can count them. 1, 2, 3, you can go 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, that type of thing. But you can start with any. And that being said, with the Mickey, the reason this is actually sort of a cool pattern, besides a whole bunch, it's super cute, is that you can make it bigger or smaller really easy just by changing how big your Mickey head and your Mickey ears are. So if you want it to be smaller, like as a coaster, you can make not as many rows. If you want it to be big for like a trivet or some other really super, like a hat, I don't know, something else, then you just add more rows. And by doing that, you can also then add your base number, a couple stitches to your base number, or make less stitches on your base number, and that will also help expand or contract your Mickey head. But I like 10s. So here's my base. Now we are trying to make this shape where it's semi-flat and it's just becoming bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And to do that, what we need to do is increase the number of stitches on each row to allow it to expand evenly. For this next row, in order to do that, we are going to be putting 2 double crochets in each stitch all the way around our little circle. Before starting on your double crochets, tricky. Go ahead, we're going to chain 2 to bring it up to the same height as our double crochet. So grab your yarn, pull through, that's 1 chain, grab your yarn, pull through, that's 2. All right, and now we are going to make a double crochet, and we are going to put the double crochet into that same stitch where this chain is at. So grab your yarn, dip your hook down into that stitch that's directly connected to the chain. Insert your yarn where you have 2 stitches on top. Insert your hook. So you have 2 stitches on top, 1 on the bottom. Grab the yarn again and pull back through, just like we did with the magic circle. Now you have 3 stitches, or 3 loops on your hook. Go ahead and grab the yarn, pull through 2. Grab your yarn again, pull through 2. There's your first double crochet. Now we're going to do a second one in that same exact stitch. So go ahead and grab your yarn, drop your hook down into that same stitch. Once it pops out the back, grab the yarn again, pull on through. So you have 3 loops on your hook. Grab your yarn, pull through 2, pull through 2. Now we did that. What we just did there, we put 2 double crochets into that same stitch. Now we are going to repeat that all the way around into every single stitch. When we get done with this row, we should have a total of 20 stitches because we are doubling the 10 that we started with. See, 10s are easy. We like 10s. All right, here we go. So 1, 2, 1. All right. Once you get to the end of your row, here we are. Once you get to the end of your row, you're going to go ahead and just like before, we're going to insert your hook into that very first stitch. Grab your yarn and pull through. And that is row 2. Now, the next rows, 3, 4, 5, 6, however many you want to do, we are going to be increasing every row by 10 stitches. To do that, we are going to start a pattern where in this particular row, since it's our first, since it's the second increase, our first increase, we did 2 double crochets in every row. Now on the second increase, we're going to put 1 double crochet in the first stitch, and then 2 double crochets in the second stitch. I just realized I said that wrong. So in the first increase row, so row 2, first time we increased, we put 2 double crochets in every single stitch all the way around. Now in this next row, we are going to put 1 double crochet in the first stitch and 2 double crochets in the second stitch. Then 1 double crochet in the next stitch, then 2 double crochets in the following stitch. And we're going to keep repeating that pattern of 1 double crochet, 2 double crochets, all the way around the circle. Here we go. So we're going to chain 2 to make our starting point the same height as our double crochet. I'm going to put 1 double crochet in the first stitch, and then we're going to put 2 double crochets in the next stitch. Then we're going to repeat that 1 double crochet in the following stitch, and then 2 double crochets in the next stitch. And then you're going to repeat that pattern all the way around. So, almost there. Almost there. All right. Okay. All right. You know that you completed the pattern correctly because on the last stitch, right before you close off your row, it should be an increase. So you should end with a stitch that has 2 double crochets in it. Once you get to the end of your row, go ahead and slip your hook into that first stitch and pull your yarn through. So that was the third row of our piece. Now, as we continue to make this bigger and bigger and bigger, each row we're going to expand that pattern a little bit. So for this next row, what you will need to do is do 1 double crochet in the first stitch, 1 double crochet in the second stitch, 2 double crochets in the third stitch, and repeat that. And you'll continue with every single row. You're going to increase that. So the following row after that would be 1 double crochet, pardon me, the whole different stitch, 1 double crochet in the first stitch, 1 double crochet in the second stitch, 1 double crochet in the third stitch, 2 double crochets in the next stitch, and so on. If that's a little confusing, I do have a written pattern. It's on perkylemon.com. There's a link in the description. It actually breaks it out for you. But continue to do that same pattern until you make the body of your Mickey head the size that you're going to want it. Now, through the magic of television, or me just actually getting my stuff together a little better as I rip apart because I need this yarn for later. But I went ahead and finished mine to the size that I want. And he is right here. Ooh. If you would like your Mickey, and it's the same size as this guy here. If you would like your Mickey head to be this big, I ended up doing a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows including my magic circle row. So, and that's what the pattern will reflect. Once you get to this point, you need to tie off your strings, your string of strings, and I will do that now for those that are curious on how to do that. There isn't really a right or wrong way to do it. The only thing really is if you think you haven't done it enough, then you probably haven't. Err on the side of caution. Whew, having trouble getting my hook in my yarn. Hold on. Come on, come on. There we go. That was tricky. All right. Okay. So to sew something off or bind something off, all you're doing is making a knot. And yarn knot's pretty easy by yourself, but you want to help it out. So you're just going to go and sew into a couple different directions. Some people only do 3. I like to do 5 or 6. And basically you're just making it so that if it wants to try to wiggle itself out, it's going to have a really hard time to do it. No matter what, eventually it may still do it, so it's just a thing about yarn. I don't get it. There we go. That seems pretty sturdy for me. Once you have made it as many stitches as you feel comfortable with, grab some snips, and I like to tug mine a little bit and then snip it close, because then once it relaxes, the little extra bit like falls underneath, which is pretty good. My nose itches, my face is burnt, my nose itches, allergies. All right, it is allergies, not other things. Okay. All right. Now we went ahead and sewed in our bit there, but now we need to finish off this row. And there's a couple ways to do this, especially if you're going to continue on the pattern. I like to, I'm not even sure what this is called. People call it all kinds of different things. But I basically like to fake a stitch. And to do that, you're going to need your hook still. There's probably more yarn than I need, but that's all right. You're going to take your hook, and you're going to slide it underneath the first stitch from the beginning of the row, like you would do with your crochet hook, and pull the yarn all the way through. And I probably have a little more yarn than I need, but I'll deal with that in a second. Once you pull your yarn through, don't pull it super tight, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to make it look like it's one of these stitches. So once it's there, go ahead and take your hook, your needle, pardon me, and insert the needle down in that loop. And pull the yarn again. Once again, don't do it super tight, but we need a little snug because we're mimicking this look. Once you do that, go ahead and wiggle it down a little bit into that stitch. Then wiggle it back up. And bring it to right underneath that second loop. Once it's there, take your yarn and bring it over into the other stitch. And then from there, go ahead and sew in your end like we did before. And if you did this right, it'll be really, I mean, you can find it if you really look, but it'll be rather tricky to find where your beginning and end is. And I think it ends up being cleaner. It's definitely easier even if you are continuing on with the project, because you'll need to get that stitch anyways to add a row into it. So I like to, I don't know, it's just one of my hang-ups, I guess. Okay, Once you feel that that looks all happy, snip it off. Scratch your nose if it is. Okay, there we go. Now, once again, if you are doing the double layer instead of the using 2 pieces of yarn at once, then you're going to want to make 2 of these. And once you make your base, you're going to want to make 4 ears. The ears, the way that I made them, I just used the same base. So I started with 10 double crochets and then went out. And I think that ended up making a pretty nice Mickey shape. And that's how you do the beginning part. Now once you have 2 bases, 2 Mickey heads, and 4 Mickey ears, hang low. Do they wobble to and throw? Can you time in a knot? Can you time? All right. We are now on to the waffle pattern. And this is the sneaky part. All this is chaining and the main sewn on. It looks like it's more complicated. It's really not. It is tedious because for each of these chains, you have to sew them in. So that part is a pain in the booty. But the actual application of doing it, like functionality, is like super easy. To make my ridges stand out, I'm using 2 pieces of yarn to make my chain at once, instead of just doing the 1 piece of yarn like we were doing for our bases. That is up to you on how you would like to do it. You can just use 1. They won't protrude as much, but that's up to you. What we are going to want to do is we are going to want to chain pieces that are long enough to go across and down on our ears and our Mickey head. Now I'm going to demonstrate how to do this on an ear. Same principle expands to the Mickey head, but for time purposes I'm letting you do that. I already did mine. So, anyways, so this is how I chain. Okay, we're using 2 pieces of yarn at once. You can either have 2 skeins, so like 2 balls of yarn, or you can use the front and the back, or you can just take 1 skein and split it apart. However you want to do it, you need to get 2 bits, 2 end pieces, and I got a mess. To crochet with 2 pieces of yarn, all it is crocheting with 2 pieces of yarn. There's nothing complicated about it. You're faking a thicker piece of yarn than you actually have. And this is a really handy thing to do if you like, for example, need a bulky type of yarn and you don't have any bulky yarn. You can use regular, like number 4 yarn twice, 3 times sometimes, depending on the project. I did that with my Captain America blanket. I actually used bulky yarn, but I used 2 strands of bulky yarn at once and made like super bulky yarn, and that thing was freaking huge after I was done. It was really cool though. You should check it out. It's at perkylemon.com. But yeah, so you can do that. You can also use it to change colors, which is a really cool thing. Maybe I'll do a tutorial on that because I'm working on a mermaid blanket right now and it's really pretty. And the colors, I'm doing a gradient change, and you can add in the next color into your piece of yarn and it looks beautiful. So yeah, maybe I'll do that next. Anyways, so 2 pieces of yarn. I'll show you how I do this. So you take your 2 pieces of yarn, you're just going to pretend it's 1, and that's really the only difference. Now we are going to make a chain, and we did chain before in the circle, but this is a little bit different because we have a different starting point. So to start, you're just going to want to make a little slip knot. To do that, you're going to pinch your yarn, twist it, and stick your fingers inside that loop, grab the yarn, pull through. Yeah. It should close around your hook. So to chain, all you need to do then is grab your yarn and pull through. And that's chain 1. Grab your yarn, pull through, chain 2. Grab your yarn, pull through, chain 3. And you just keep repeating that. That's all chaining is. So we are going to make chains that are long enough to be able to stretch across our Mickey ear. And you're just going to sort of eyeball it depending on how tight you crochet or loose you crochet, or what type of yarn you used, or what type of hook you used. These chains are going to be different sizes, so you really just need to sort of play it by ear. See what I did there? I'm so funny. I am funny. Anyways, so we're almost there. I like to give myself just an extra little bit of room. So, because once we get these chains made, we're going to need to attach them to each other, and you want a little bit of extra wiggle room. Once your chain is about the size that you would like it, go ahead and snip her off. And complete the rest of your chains. Now, for the Mickey ear, I'm just going to do 4 of them, so I need 3 more. Ta-da! Looks sort of a mess, but it'll look better here in a second. Alright, now that you have your chains, you sort of eyeball how big they are and where they're going to be. But while I'm eyeballing, I'm going to say this needs to go on this loop. I'm going to grab my crochet hook. And then I'm going to grab one of my chain, my vertical chain, vertical, and pull it through. Remember, we used 2 pieces of yarn, so you have to grab both of those little tails and gently tug through the chain. So you can see it's sort of attached now. It will twist around, so you'll probably have to twist it back. And then repeat that for the next one. So by looking at this, I want that to be about here. And I'm going to grab my yarn. It's getting dusk here. I'm going to be going in through the night, boys and girls. There we go. All right, so there's 2. And then we are going to do the same thing for the bottom one. So we know it's going to be about there. Break on through to the other side. There we go. There we are. Yep. All right. Now they are attached. Ooh, it's attached. Now we're going to need to sew them onto the Mickey head. Now, for the big Mickey body, I sewed them onto the edges, but I didn't sew the in-between bits. You can do that. It will take significantly longer, and it ends up being really flat onto your piece. I like sort of the shadowing that it creates when they're not attached. It's up to you on how you want to do that. For the ears, though, I did just go ahead and sew them pretty close down because there's not really that much room. Okay, to do that, the way that I would start is I first want to sort of eyeball, or I want to loosely tie, pardon me, where my beginning bits are, and I like to do that with the parts that already have knots. And after I sort of have this adjusted the way I want, this bit is going to be attached here, and this top will be attached here. So I'm going to grab that. Come on, come on, come on. Here we go. One. And 2. There we go. And then you want to repeat that with the edges here. Now, if your piece is too far out, you're going to have to take a couple of those stitches out, which isn't too big of a deal. It's better than not having enough. On my original Mickey head, I didn't have enough in a couple places, and it looks sort of silly, but up to you. Guess waffles aren't perfect, except when you eat them. Nom 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 nom. I think they're so tasty. Right. One more. I think. Oh, that might be not. Nope, I think that's it. Okay. So there's one, and then we're gonna tie her off. And this is, when I say tie off, it's literally just pulling it through at the moment. you're going to be sewing these in. But I don't want to sew them in immediately. I like to sort of just pull them through the loops and then I can adjust it a little bit. It's not permanent because they're a pain in the butt to try to, we can't change it. Once it's sewn in there, it's sort of impossible to change it otherwise. So it's best just to do it like a loose pull through and then you can adjust as you go. Not so big of a deal on this, but when you're doing the bigger piece, it becomes sort of tricky. Okay. Very good. Nice, nice, nice. There you go. Okay. Here we are. And then we got the other side. So you just keep tweaking it and futzing with it until it's ready. And then once they are in the place that you would like them to be, go ahead and then sew them in. All right, so what you need to, once you have your 2 ear pieces and your 2 body pieces, oh sorry, 4 ear pieces, 1, 2, 3, 4, and your 2 body pieces, now it's time to put it together. By the way, for the body, you don't have to do 2 waffle bits. Can, but this is too much. I'm gonna sew that in. I have the hiccups. Whew. All right. To attach these, we're going to do a single crochet stitch. Blah 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 words. A single crochet stitch all the way around. And we're going to put the stitch through both edges. So to do that, we're going to put the backs, which is the grubbly bits. There's the front that has, you can see the actual defined stitches, and the back is grubbly. By the way, it's really cool to do a project and then turn it inside out if you're doing like a critter, like a rabbit or something, because this sort of looks like fur to me. But put the backs together. You want the waffle bit to be facing you. So you want this little bit to be looking towards you. And then you are going to go ahead and crochet. We're going to use 2 pieces of yarn at once again. And all you need to do is start at any stitch. And then start at any stitch again. And we're going to cast on. And people cast on a whole bunch in different ways. This is how I do. I just sort of I'm sorry, it wasn't, you couldn't see that. So to cast on, at least there's a couple different ways to do it. For this one, I'm going to just grab my yarn, pull it through, and I ended up pulling it through, you can see individually, the 2 loops from this ear, the back part of the ear, and then 2 loops from the front part of the ear. I just spread them out just so you could see it. But when you actually do the stitch, you want it to be somewhat close together. And then just grab both of those pieces and then pull through like you're doing a chain. And then now we're going to do a single crochet. So to do a single crochet, you're just going to take your hook and put it through the loops. Make sure you get the loops from your front piece and the back piece. Grab your yarn, pull it through, then grab the yarn again and pull it through those 2 loops that are on your hook. So if we do that again, you're going to put your hook through the first 2 loops from your front piece, and then 2 loops from the back piece. Grab your yarn, pull it through all 4 bits, so the front piece, the back piece, and the front piece. Grab your yarn, pull it through again. All right, and just keep doing that all the way around. All right. Now you'll notice that because we're doing a single crochet and we're not expanding, we're not increasing, it sort of pulls in, which is fabulous. If for some reason it's not pulling in on the plain side, and it's pulling in on the plain side and not the waffly side, that means that you had your ear facing, or your piece facing, the wrong direction. It's gonna pull in towards the side that's facing you. Yeah. If it's not pulling in, for example, if you just used a regular bulkier cotton yarn and you didn't double strand, or you chose just to use one strand, you might need to drop down a crochet size hook, or go ahead and double strand it, and it should pull in for you that way. But go ahead and repeat what we just did with your other Mickey ear and your body, and making sure that once you get to the end, you're going to go ahead and sew off, bind off. I'm not even sure where the right term is. I'll show you. Make sure that you, not only tie it off, but sew it through, like so, and then meet you back. But before, let me show you how I did this. So this is what we did before, but we're just using 2 pieces of yarn. We're gonna pretend we're gonna make a fake stitch. And so you're just gonna take your needle and insert it into that very first stitch. It's gonna be a little different because since we're using 2 pieces of yarn, there's actually gonna be technically 4 loops on top and 2 on the bottom. Give it a little bit of a tug, and then insert your needle into that loop where that initial string came out of. Loop it down just a little bit, just to hook it in there, and pop up underneath, and then bring it over to the other side. Break on through to the other side. It might be a little tricky because this is where we did our cast on, so try to get in there. And then just finish it off, and you should have a cute little Mickey ear. So once you have your 3 bits sewn together, now we're going to attach the ears, and all you need to do is take your yarn. Make sure that your grid's the same direction. It's a waffle, so it's going to be the same. And you're just going to sew it underneath these stitches, so you're not even going to see that it's like attached. You're just going to go in and out under the stitches. If you see that some of your stuff's too loose, like in my instance here, go ahead and tack that down when you have a chance to. I'm definitely going to, because I think that looks sort of silly. I want it to be rigid but not crooked. I don't know, okay. But go back and forth several times. Remember, people are going to be using these, so they're going to be tugged on. Kids will probably tug on them, you know, stuff. You want to make sure they're pretty secure. Give it a look-see, make sure it looks okay. And then do the same for your other one. And then you'll be done. So, looks like I get done just in the nick of time. You can see it's been getting darker and darker and darker as we've been going through, but yeah, I just got done. So I went ahead and finished my puffy one, and then I have the original one. From doing these two, I would have to say I prefer using the double stranded technique over doing the double shape. So instead of making four ears in 2 bases and just using 2 strands of yarn instead, I much prefer doing. Not only is it quicker, but I just like the end result looks better to me, I think. This is the double stranded one, cute, and this is the double shape one, poofy. Also cute. I like how round this bit looks, but the waffle part looks sort of messy, so maybe if I tack it down it might not be so bad. I'm not sure, but you know, taster's choice. You might like the puffy one better. It definitely would be safer from like a heat standpoint because it is really, really thick. If I was using it as like a trivet, I would still go with the double stranded one instead, just so it lays nice and flat. But if I was grabbing something out of the oven, I'd probably want this one instead. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions, comments, concerns, pattern once again is at perkylemon.com. And yeah, thanks for stopping by. I'll see you next time. Bye. Ooh, I fell. Hold on a second, that's Tim again. I got hair everywhere. Fake it till you make it. Alright. Oh, don't fall. Come on. Timmy's calling me. He's downstairs. Hold on a second. Oh, that don't work. High quality production, folks. It's for you. Put you up on something, cut off, and you go down. Down. It's crooked. A little tip-turvy. It's like that. It is really at a weird angle. It's like a... Let's see. Maybe I can move it. A GoPro for a thing that's supposed to be like really super quick to use. Your stuff is a pain in the ass to set up. Just saying. Fun.
You don't need to stop it.
Well, it stopped itself.
It stops itself?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Wheels on the bus go round and round, round and round, round and round. Wheels on the bus go round and round all through the town. This is taking forever, forever, forever. This is taking forever. Blah, 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 blah. Oh god, now I have to figure out how to turn this back on. Okay, hold on. I'm so new at all this. Look how cute this camera is, though. It's so tiny. It's so tiny. It's so little. Tiny. It's a little. Dang. I like, these last couple of videos, my hair has been large, and I'm liking it. Happy that it's coming back. She's a brick house. She's minded, just letting it all hang out.